Hi, my name is John. Welcome to another Wednesday catch up. Last weekend I spent 3 days at Kelsell Steam Rally. I really enjoyed it. It is a world of good, getting away from home, like a totally different atmosphere. Some really nice people. I was well looked after. It was really nice that quite a few of my viewers come and said hello. It was really great to meet you and shake your hand. There's one lad especially, I can't remember his name now, but by God, he was a funny lad. Anyway, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It really was a pleasure to meet you. This coming weekend is Chester Lee Street Steam Rally, one of our local rallies, probably one of the biggest ones in the country. I will be there on Saturday and Sunday, so if you're there, you see me, please, by all means, come and say hello. Be great to shake your hand. I did some video of the Steam Rally last weekend. I'm going to put a little bit on tonight's video. I started to edit it last night. There's 1 or 2 bits I've picked out. I want to show some of that. I'm also going to show another latest tutorial video, as these are going down very well.
9 tons on it. What if it is 9 tons or even more? You never know, you never know. The old rusty nuts is going by now. An engine owned by Hereford Rural District Council. It even has the bird, the surveyor, and the telephone number on the back. So there you go. Lovely example. Got one in its working clothes. Look at it all there. Look at this splendid twin compound engine. Enabling a port again from Rochester, that's what that is. You have to put the canopy on, that's why it's open, not purpose. You should have a canopy on it. At the Borrow, not a famous engine manufacturer. Obviously heavy all this factor, or it could even be on the farm, but you never know. It looks like a rodeo logo, you know? Early riser. Oh, very local, thank you. Okay. Mr. Novus. Oh, Mrs. That's gone. They gone by, you know, the lady driver. And then of course, bringing up the entourage at the rear here is the Sentinel. Very worthy locomotive of its time. This was a steam lorry. This is a 6-wheel version and was registered to Tarmac of Wolverhampton when new. Hence the registration of the RF 200. An engine a Sentinel I know very well because a friend of mine restored it in the early 70s. We went up to London to Brighton with it, so it brings up many memories now, many memories. Sentinel were based in Shrewsbury, if you didn't know. Very large maker of Sentinel steam lorries, as we said. They were the real lorry manufacturers. Both had to go, steam lorries, and that sort of thing. Sentinel was that sort of thing. Like gunpowder road locomotive. The Tiger tractor was called. There you go. Ready to clean up there. Moved over. Yeah, here we go. All these are based on the real thing in a working form. Most of them have a specific partner, in other words a full-size partner who takes this from. So, even down to the boat, no copies of that.
Hi, my name is John. Welcome to part 8 in a series of short videos all about the metal turning lathe. In this episode, or this instalment, I'm going to carry on from the last one and discuss and demonstrate work holding. Before I move away from the Threejaw Choke, as quite a few people have asked us to demonstrate one, it's not a unique feature, but one feature that I did build into the chuck when I installed it onto the back plate. So that's enough talking. I'll bring the camera in, we'll discuss this one more thing on the Threejaw Choke, then we'll move on. This Threejaw Choke probably does 75% of the work I'll do on this lathe. It's a self-centering Threejaw Choke, as we discussed last week. I'm going to put a piece of bar in that I know is perfectly straight and perfectly round. The choke's got 3 tightening points. One of them has got a 0 on. That's the tightening point that was used to tighten the choke when the jaws were ground. So that's the one you use to tighten last. It gives it the best chance of being accurate. If you look at it, it looks fairly true. I've just had the chuck off and put it back on, and when I take the chuck off and put it back on, it never seems to go back perfectly true. It's normally within 2 or 3 thou. I'm going to put a clock gauge on and just check the run out. The further away you are from the chuck, the more accurate your reading will be. Right, and that's running out 7 thou, which is not acceptable as far as I'm concerned. Now, when I did the chuck and the back plate, I left clearance between the chuck and the back plate on the spigot it mounts on. So all I need to do is loosen off these 3 cap head bolts. And I can bump the chuck into line. So we'll find the high jaw first, which is that one there at a high point. Again. Again. Right, and that's now running within half a thou. I'll try and get it absolutely dead on. Right. That's about as good as it gets. I'll bring the camera in so you can see a little bit closer. Right, as you can see, that's virtually 0 run out. So now, no matter what I put in this chuck, within its range, it's within 3 or 4 thou, which is very, very acceptable for the Threejaw Choke. The natural progression from the Threejaw self-centering chuck is the Fourjaw independent chuck. I've got 2 of them, a big one and not quite a big one. I'm going to use a big one, it's just easier to video, easier to demonstrate on. So I'll take this one away and I'll mount the Fourjaw Choke onto the lathe. Fourjaw independent chucks are normally found in a cupboard under the lathe, covered in rust, unloved, which is a great shame because it's the most useful work holding bit of kit you can have on a lathe. Obviously by Fourjaw we mean it's got 4 jaws, and by independent it means that each jaw moves independently. So you can move that one, you can move that one, all independently. You can also take a jaw out, or take all 4 jaws out, turn it over, put it back in that way, depending on what you're trying to grip. So Fourjaw chokes don't just grip square material, they'll grip any shape basically. If you have to put something in a chuck and have it running dead true, a Fourjaw choke is probably the way to do it, because you can adjust these to take out any tolerance at all. You can adjust them to get them absolutely spot on, no matter what shape, size or diameter the workpiece is. On the face of the chuck there's a series of rings. They're not there to make it look pretty, they're there to try and help you set up the chuck. I'm going to grip something round, so what I've done, I've estimated the size of the piece. That's the piece of round bar there. You could measure it, but I reckon probably 3 inches. So I've set the gap there roughly 3 inches, and what I've done, I've lined up each jaw on that outer ring. So we'll try the piece in. It won't go in, the chuck is too tight. So if we open each one half a turn, Now it fits in. It's slack, but it fits in. So if we nip up each jaw, probably quarter of a turn, or just until it just touches. Right, spin the part, and it's reasonably true. This piece of bar will not be completely round, but it won't be far away. So straight away, we've got that within the realms of possibility. I'm going to put a clock gauge on now, and so far away it actually is. If we rotate the chuck, it's running out probably 70 thousandths of an inch. So what we do, we find the highest jaw, that's the highest point towards the clock gauge, and it wants to go across that way. So if we loosen off the opposite one just a little bit, tighten that one, straight away we've improved it, so it's high jaw again, which is that one. So loosen off that one slightly, tighten that one. There is a method of doing this using 2 chuck keys. I've done a video, I might well include it on the end of this one. Right now we're within about 10th out, so we'll find a high point. You could zero the clock gauge if you wanted to, if it would move. Right, well, let's zero it. Right, so once again, high point, which is that one there. So now we'll just try nipping that one and push it against the other one. And use a slightly bigger chuck key with slightly more leverage. High point again, which is that one. Just keep working on it, and slowly but surely the run out is removed. We're going to have to loosen off the opposite one a little bit. And we're getting there now. It's within 2 thou and the bar won't be round, so we'll find the high point again, which is that one. That's as good as it's going to get, because that bar is probably that far out of truth anyway. Right, so that's within. It's probably dead on, but like I say, the bar's not round, it's within 1 thou, 2 thou. Right, so for gripping round stuff, here's a bit of aluminium bar, and there's a centre drill mark there. I need to drill a hole through there, and I haven't got a drilling machine, and it's got to be accurate. We can do it in the lathe using the Fourjaw Choke. We can do it in the lathe using the faceplate as well, but Fourjaw Choke is what we're demonstrating in a minute, so that's what we're going to be using. Right, I'll reverse these 2 jaws, take them out, turn them round, put them back in again. And if I put the piece of metal in there, it means that the centre hole is somewhere near. You could nip this up and then mess around trying to line it up, but there's a much easier and quicker way of doing that. What we need is a decent centre in the tailstock chuck, which we can bring in and line up on that hole, on that centre mark. You need to come towards me a little bit. Go across that way a little bit. This is easier with 3 arms, but being as well I'm just human. Right, so if we wind that into there, that holds it in place, so we're not juggling trying to fight it. So it's got a little grip on there, and that's got that lined up dead on in the centre. So if we bring these jaws down, better. Right, push it in again. We bring these jaws down till just touching that piece of metal like that. Then you let 2 jaws come in until they're just touching it. basically it's going to be not a million miles away from centre. So it's lying on the back of those two jaws, and those two jaws are just nipping it in. Right, so we need to get the hole spot on. We know we're somewhere near. Right, what I've now got is a dead centre in there. That's been held in by the grip of the jaws, and all that's doing is acting as an indicator to see where the hole is. So if we put a clock gauge onto there, and that's within 25 thousandths of an inch. So all we're doing now is find the high point, which is nearest to me, which is that one there. We'll nip that jaw up a little bit. High point again, which is that one still. High point, which is still that one. I'm going to put a little nip on these side ones just to make sure I have got it. Right, once again, high point, which is now this one, it's moved. High point is that one. It's within a thousandth of an inch there, so it's getting... Right, so that is not bad at all. There's a couple of things you've got to be aware of. The first thing is this jaw could hit the lathe bed, and the second thing is it's not balanced. It's a mile out of balance because you've got all of this weight sticking out that side, so obviously you couldn't set this away at 1000 RPM. It would move the lathe across the workshop. But to drill a hole in there, you will comfortably run at 20 or 30 RPM so you can drill the hole. If this was a finished piece of work, you'd put copper jaw protectors in there just to stop damaging the workpiece. So you could drill the hole, you could face that as well, all on the one setting. So that's a job that will be done normally on a milling machine, can be quite happily done in a Fourjaw Choke. Once again, it's just time to say thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please do. A special thanks for all the emails I've had, like to try and sort of cheer us up and lift us up. I've also had quite a lot of emails from people that have emailed me since I mentioned my depression, and they've realised that there's something wrong and it's not just them, and it is quite a common thing, and they're getting some help. It's not easy to talk about depression and that sort of thing. Blokes don't find it easy at all. So if me like bringing things into the open has made one person go and seek some help, it's been all worthwhile. Anyway, thanks for watching.